A quiet street. Not completely empty, but quiet enough that every sound feels louder than it should. Two young guys are standing in the middle of the sidewalk, laughing. Not friendly laughter. The kind that makes people look down and keep walking. An old man tries to pass. Slow steps. Eyes on the ground. They don't move. One of them shifts just enough to block his path. Not aggressive. Not yet. But intentional. The old man pauses. Hesitates. You can almost feel him deciding. Do I go around? Do I say something? Do I just wait? People nearby notice. A woman slows down. A guy across the street pretends to check his phone. Everyone sees it. Nobody says a word. One of the guys smirks. Leans in too close. Says something we can't hear. The old man stiffens. His hands tighten around the strap of his bag. Still, he doesn't respond. That silence? That's what makes them bolder. The second guy steps forward. Now they're both in front of him, blocking the path completely. Their laughter gets louder, like they're performing for an audience. And the worst part? They have an audience. People are watching. Some with concern. Some with curiosity. Some already judging the old man. Why doesn't he just walk away? Why is he standing there? You can almost hear those thoughts floating through the crowd. The old man finally looks up. Not angry. Not scared. Just tired. That kind of tired you get when you've lived long enough to know how people can be. The two guys mistake it for weakness. One of them laughs again. Too loud. Too proud. And that's the moment. The exact second. You realize this isn't just about harassment anymore. This is about power. Who has it? Who thinks they have it? And who everyone else is choosing to stay silent for. Because right now, no one has stepped in. Not yet. The old man still hasn't moved. Not because he can't, but because he doesn't know what move is safe. The two guys notice that hesitation. They feed on it. One of them tilts his head, smiling. Not friendly. Not playful. The kind of smile that dares you to react. He steps closer. Not touching him. Just close enough to invade his space. That's when you feel it. The shift. This isn't random anymore. This is control. The old man tightens his grip on his bag. His shoulders tense. But his feet stay planted. People nearby start whispering. Why doesn't he just go around? He's making it worse. Nobody is talking about the two guys. All the blame somehow lands on him. And that's how power works sometimes. Not loud. Not violent. Just pressure. The kind that makes you feel small. Without even touching you. Across the street, a woman slows down. Looks at them. Then looks away. A guy in a hoodie pretends to scroll his phone. But his eyes keep lifting. Everyone sees it. Nobody owns it. Have you ever seen something like this? And felt unsure whether to step in? Not because you don't care, but because your mind starts racing. What if it gets worse? What if they turn on me? What if it's none of my business? Those thoughts hit fast. Like excuses wearing fear as a mask. The two guys laugh again. Louder now. They feel it. They feel the silence behind them. They know nobody's coming. That's what gives them confidence. Not strength. Not courage. Just the comfort of an audience. That won't interfere. The old man glances around. Not begging. Just checking. Anyone? Anyone at all? But all he sees are eyes that look away. And right there, without a single punch thrown, the power balance is already clear. One of the guys finally breaks the space. Not with a punch. Not yet. He bumps the old man's shoulder. Light. Almost playful. But it's not an accident. It's a test. The old man stumbles half a step back. Catches himself. Doesn't fall. They laugh. That laugh isn't funny. It's loud. Sharp. Like they just won something. Watch where you're going. One of them says. The old man opens his mouth. Then closes it. Changes his mind. You can see it on his face. He wants to speak. But he doesn't want trouble. That pause? That hesitation? That's all they need. The second guy steps in now. So close their shoulders almost touch. Now it's 2 against 1. Blocking him in. No escape path. The old man grips his bag tighter. Knuckles turning white. His breathing gets heavier. Slow. Controlled. He's trying not to panic. One of them circles slightly. Like a shark. Relax, old timer. He says, laughing. We're just having fun. But his eyes say something else. Fun to them means fear for someone else. A man across the street shakes his head. Murmurs. He should have just walked away. Not they should stop. He should move. That's how it always goes. Victim gets blamed. For standing still. The 2 guys feel it. They feel the crowd shifting. Not against them. But away from him. That gives them courage. Real courage? No. Borrowed confidence. From silent witnesses. One of them taps the old man's chest. Not hard. Just disrespectful. You deaf. He smirks. Move. The old man finally speaks. Voice shaky, but calm. I'm just trying to pass. That's it. No insults. No challenge. Just a simple sentence. They burst out laughing. Listen to him. One says. He's polite. They mimic his tone. Mocking. The old man's face tightens. Embarrassment. Anger. But still, restraint. You can see the war inside him. Fight. Or survive. Most people choose survive. Another shove. This time harder. He stumbles again. Nearly drops his bag. A woman gasps quietly. Puts her hand to her mouth. Still doesn't move. The guys notice her. Grin. They like the attention. Now they're performing. One spreads his arms. Anybody got a problem? He shouts. Silence answers him. No heroes. No brave voices. Just empty space. The old man looks around again. Not begging. Just hoping. But hope dies fast. When nobody meets your eyes. That's when you realize. This isn't about strength anymore. It's about numbers. And fear. 2 loud guys. 1 quiet man. And a crowd that chooses comfort. Over courage. The pressure keeps rising. Like a lid tightening on a boiling pot. Something is going to happen. You don't know what. You don't know when. But you feel it. Because moments like this never stay calm for long. The old man stands there, tense, gripping his bag. The 2 young guys laugh and nudge each other. Every shove, every word, echoes across the small crowd forming around them. People stop to watch. Some lean against walls. Some peek from doorways. Some pull their phones out, pretending to scroll. Nobody steps forward. Not even close. A woman whispers to her friend. Why doesn't he just move? A man shakes his head. This is bad. He's asking for trouble. And the silence. It's deafening. Not the absence of sound, but the absence of action. Each bystander is weighing risk, curiosity, and responsibility. Every eye flicks between the old man and the 2 thugs. Every heartbeat feels louder. The guys notice this. They feed off it. The silence becomes their armor. The crowd, unwilling to intervene, gives them permission to continue. The old man glances at the crowd, hoping, maybe expecting. Something. A movement. A voice. Nothing. The laughter grows louder. Sharper. The old man's bag shakes slightly in his hands. The people watching. They are frozen. Some stare in disbelief. Some shrink back, pretending they aren't seeing it. Some whisper excuses, justifying their inaction. He should have avoided them. They're just kids. Do you think people stay silent because they're scared? Or because it's easier? The question hangs in the air, just as heavy as the tension on the street. A young man records with his phone, pretending it's curiosity. A mother pulls her child closer. A businessman mutters under his breath, "They're just being foolish. Why get involved?" Every excuse, every hesitation, is a piece of the invisible wall separating the old man from help. The two thugs laugh again, proud and emboldened. Their confidence isn't theirs alone, it's borrowed from the inaction of everyone watching. Even when the old man steps slightly forward, trying to reclaim space, the crowd recoils. Not in fear of him. In fear of them. The air shifts. Not with violence yet, but with anticipation. A quiet tension, stretching across the onlookers, making their hearts pound. Some whisper to each other, "Should we?" And then shake their heads. They don't know what to do. And so, they stay frozen. The two thugs notice the energy change. They grin. The silence isn't just absence. It's validation. The old man exhales slowly, realizing he's alone in more ways than one. The bystander's hesitation has become part of the story. Every second that passes adds weight to the moment. And as the tension builds, everyone feels it. The kind of pressure that announces, something is about to happen. And it won't be quiet for long. The old man's bag is battered. Milk spills across the pavement. Bread flattened. Onions scattered. The two young guys laugh louder now. Each shove, each taunt, drawing smirks from the crowd. And then, a new presence. Not loud. Not announced. Just there. Stephen steps onto the sidewalk. Not rushing. Not shouting. He moves with the kind of calm that immediately draws attention. People notice first in glimpses. A shadow behind the streetlight. A broad-shouldered figure, carrying nothing more than a bag. Nothing threatening. Nothing dramatic. But something about the stillness shifts the energy. The two thugs glance over. A flicker of uncertainty crosses their faces. A laugh dies before it fully forms. The crowd notices too. Some straighten instinctively. Some instinctively lean in. Something about him demands a moment of pause. The old man glances at Stephen, eyes widening slightly. Relief. Recognition. Hope. But it's quiet. Subtle. No grand gestures. Stephen doesn't move toward them aggressively. He adjusts his coat. Checks the grip on his bag. Just enough to suggest readiness without threatening. The two young guys lean into the old man, sensing they're still in control. But something in the air has shifted. A silent challenge. He steps closer. Not fast. Not bold. One slow, measured stride. The laughter begins to falter. A little twitch in the corner of one thug's mouth. A micro-expression of doubt. The crowd notices too. Whispers ripple through the bystanders. Who is that? Is he going to stop them? Stephen looks at the two young men. Not with anger. Not with threat. Just calm observation. A presence that radiates authority without raising a voice. The first young guy makes a joke. A taunt. Trying to regain the energy of control. Stephen doesn't react. Not with words. Not with aggression. And that stillness does something powerful. The second thug nudges the first, uneasy now. The audience begins to feel it too. The dynamic has shifted. The old man is no longer entirely alone. Not in the eyes of the world. The crowd leans forward, subconsciously tracking every move, sensing that something is about to change. The first young guy snickers, but there's tension behind it now. The second shifts his weight, uncertain. Stephen glances at the old man, a slight nod. Not patronizing. Not condescending. A silent message. Stay calm. Don't react. Let it unfold. The two thugs start circling slightly. Still confident. Still bold. But the air around them has changed. The energy that once fueled their laughter now meets resistance. Not from violence, but from quiet strength. The bystanders notice the subtle shift. Phones lift. Whispers spread. Is he a fighter? Look at how calm he is. That moment is enough. Just enough to plant doubt. To challenge assumptions. To make everyone, even the two young guys, second-guess themselves. And as Stephen steps fully into view, the street holds its breath. The energy has shifted imperceptibly, yet unmistakably. From harassment to hesitation. From bullying to uncertainty. The crowd leans in. The young thugs glance at each other. For the first time, they're questioning. The old man straightens slightly, inspired by the presence beside him. He's still not acting. Still restrained. But the weight of the street has subtly changed. Control is no longer entirely in the hands of the aggressors. And in that quiet, unassuming presence, a storm is waiting to break. Stephen stands near the old man, quiet. His posture relaxed, yet unyielding. Not a single muscle betrays fear or haste. The two young thugs pause mid-step. Not because they're intimidated. Because something about him doesn't belong in the chaos. He doesn't raise his voice. He doesn't threaten. But the weight of his presence carries like a silent announcement. I am here. I see everything. I control nothing, yet everything depends on me. The crowd notices immediately. A subtle shift occurs. The whispered conversations grow quieter. People stop shuffling. Eyes lift from phones to watch more closely. Stephen tilts his head slightly, observing the two young men. The old man breathes a little easier. Just a little. Hope flickers. The first thug laughs nervously, trying to reassert dominance. Relax, old man's got backup, he mutters. But the words sound hollow. Even to him. The second thug steps closer to the old man. A shove? Maybe. Just enough to test. Stephen moves, not to attack, but to subtly position himself. A small adjustment in stance. One shoulder slightly forward. A hand near the bag. Nothing dramatic. Nothing showy. And that's all it takes. The crowd begins to sense the difference. The laughter from before loses its edge. Some whisper. Who is he? Is he a fighter? The old man straightens, inspired by the calm beside him. He doesn't move forward. He doesn't react aggressively. He simply stands. And in standing, he's already stronger. The thugs glance at each other. The bravado that fueled them moments ago falters. Questions creep in. Doubt. Uncertainty. The first thug flexes his jaw, trying to force confidence. You think you can stop us, he says. Not sure if he's asking or challenging. Stephen doesn't answer. A calm gaze. Steady. Measured. It speaks louder than any words could. The second thug shifts on his feet, noticing the tiny movements, the slight adjustments, the relaxed readiness. It's subtle, almost imperceptible. But to them, it feels like a wall of authority closing in. The crowd leans in instinctively. The energy around the old man changes. He's no longer completely alone. The street itself seems to acknowledge it. Some bystanders murmur among themselves. He hasn't moved yet, and they're already unsure. And that's the point. Stephen's calm authority doesn't need aggression. It doesn't need violence. It simply exists, and the rest of the world reacts. A small child tugs at a parent's sleeve, eyes wide. You think he'll? The mother hesitates. Even she can feel it. Something about him makes the impossible seem inevitable. The first thug mutters under his breath. Maybe we shouldn't have. But pride keeps him from stopping. The second tries to scoff. Fails. Stephen tilts his head slightly again. A silent signal. Not threatening. Not intimidating. Just aware. The street waits. The crowd waits. Even the thugs wait. And in that quiet, in that controlled calm, the balance of power has already begun to shift. The old man breathes easier. Not because the threat is gone. Because the presence beside him makes him feel seen, protected, understood. A micro moment, yet profound. Silence has weight. Calm has authority. Restraint becomes power. The stage is set. All that remains is the action that will make it visible to everyone. The street is quiet now, almost unbearably so. The two young thugs hover near the old man, unsure, shifting their weight nervously. Every laugh they had before feels distant, forced. Stephen stands slightly to the side. Not moving, not speaking. But the way he holds himself, calm, centered, unshakable, it changes the room. The old man clutches his bag a little less tightly. He glances at Stephen, a flicker of reassurance passing through his eyes. The crowd leans forward. Whispers ripple through them like electricity. Phones hover, half recording, half shielding. The first thug clears his throat, trying to regain control. The second shifts again, glancing around for backup that doesn't exist. Their confidence is cracking. Slowly, painfully. And then, a subtle movement from Stephen. A step forward. Just one. Measured. Intentional. The street seems to pause with him. The wind slows. Even the engines of nearby motorcycles hum lower. The crowd notices. The thugs notice. Uncertainty hangs heavier than any physical threat could. A micro-expression passes across the leader's face. Doubt. For the first time, he questions what he thought he controlled. The tension is thick. Every breath feels deliberate. Every heartbeat echoes in the silence. At this moment, who do you think has real power here? The old man doesn't flinch. The thugs hesitate. The crowd is caught between fear and fascination. Power is no longer in size or numbers. It's in presence. It's in calm authority. It's in the quiet confidence that announces, I am in control, even if you don't see it yet. And in that pause, everyone knows something is about to change. The first thug lunges, a half-hearted shove meant to intimidate. The second steps forward, confident, expecting fear. But Stephen doesn't flinch. He doesn't raise his voice. He simply shifts his weight slightly, subtle but precise. The shove meets resistance, not in strength, but in perfect control. The aggressor stumbles forward, surprised. A micro-expression of shock crosses the second thug's face. What? How? He mutters under his breath. The crowd gasps. Phones rise. Whispers ripple. Did he just? Is he a fighter? The old man watches, disbelief and relief mixing. He's still standing. Still upright. Still calm. Stephen steps forward one measured stride. Not aggressively. Not to intimidate. But enough to shift the balance. The two thugs freeze, unsure, their bravado crumbling. The first lets out a nervous laugh, masking fear. The second glances at him, hesitation creeping in. The crowd senses it. The energy shifts palpably. Laughter dies. Whispers grow louder. The street seems to tilt toward Stephen. The old man straightens further, emboldened by the subtle shift beside him. He feels safer, protected, not by numbers, but by presence. The first thug stumbles again, realizing the fight is no longer in his hands. The second takes a step back, uncertainty replacing aggression. The power has flipped. No words have been shouted. No fists yet, only precision, calm authority, and presence. The crowd leans forward. The bystanders, once frozen, sense the change. Excitement, relief, awe, emotions ripple through them. The thugs glance at each other. Pride falters. Confidence wavers. And then a silent acknowledgement passes between Stephen and the old man. Not a gesture. Not a look. Just the quiet understanding. We control the situation now. The street exhales. The tension dissolves like mist. The aggressors shrink into themselves, unsure of what to do next. The crowd cheers softly, a collective recognition of order restored. The moment is complete. The shift isn't violent, it's psychological. Power is no longer claimed by threat or aggression. It is earned through calm, precision, and authority. The old man finally allows himself a breath. The bystanders step back, some whispering, some recording, all witnessing the reversal. The two young thugs retreat, subdued, unsure, their ego cracked. And in the quiet that follows, the street knows who is truly in control. The two young thugs retreat, muttering under their breath. Their arrogance is gone. The street is quieter now, filled with a sense of relief and awe. The old man stands upright, his groceries ruined, but his dignity intact. He looks at Stephen, gratitude silent but clear. No words are exchanged. None are needed. The crowd exhales as one. Phones lower. Whispers turn into murmurs of respect. People glance at each other, realizing they were witnesses to something rare. Control and calm overcoming aggression. Some children tug at their parents' sleeves, eyes wide. Was he really a fighter? One asks. Parents nod, unsure of what to say. The lesson is visible without explanation. Courage isn't loud. Strength isn't shown through aggression. Stephen straightens his jacket, scanning the street. A subtle nod toward the old man reassures him. The energy has shifted completely. Where once there was fear, now there is safety. Where once there was mockery, now there is respect. The crowd slowly disperses, many whispering among themselves. Did you see how calm he was? That's real strength. Even strangers recognize the quiet authority that changed everything. The old man picks up what remains of his groceries. Milk spilled, bread flattened, onions ruined, but none of it matters anymore. The lesson of the night lingers longer than the mess. Phones are still out, recording, sharing, replaying. Some look on in awe. Some are inspired, asking themselves if they could have stood up, acted differently. Do you think people stay silent because they're scared? Or because it's easier? Stephen glances at the crowd one last time. A small smile crosses his face, subtle but genuine. The old man gives a quiet nod of thanks. No one else needed to say anything. The tension has broken, replaced by reflection. The street feels different now, lighter, calmer, filled with the realization that respect and courage are earned, not demanded. The little boy in the crowd looks up at his parent, wide-eyed. He didn't even get scared, he whispers. The parent nods softly. Yes. He knew what mattered. The moment lingers, emotional and silent. The lesson isn't just about strength, it's about awareness, patience, and quiet authority. And as Stephen steps away, the crowd carries the story with them, replaying it, learning from it, inspired without needing words. The street is silent now. The echoes of engines, laughter, and whispers have faded. The crowd disperses slowly, each person carrying a story in their mind. The old man walks with a lighter step. Not because his groceries are restored, they aren't, but because dignity and safety have been returned. Sometimes the smallest actions make the biggest impact. Stephen steps into the shadows, unnoticed by most, leaving behind only presence and example. No one cheered loudly for him. No one demanded attention. But the weight of what happened lingers, quiet, undeniable, and lasting. People replay the scene in their minds. They whisper to each other, asking questions without expecting answers. Some are inspired to act differently the next time they see someone in need. Some wonder how calm and patience can shift the balance of power without violence. The lesson is subtle. Strength isn't always loud. Control isn't always force. Courage doesn't always roar. Sometimes, the quietest actions speak the loudest. What would you do if you witnessed a situation like this? How would you respond? The child in the crowd still holds the memory of the calm figure who didn't flinch. A simple sketch in hand, a symbol of inspiration. And the adults around him carry their own reflection. Could they have stood up? Could they have noticed sooner? The focus shifts inward. It's not about the aggressors. It's not about proving power. It's about understanding how presence, patience, and awareness influence everyone in a moment of crisis. In the quiet that follows, the audience leaves with a lingering thought. Courage can be ordinary, patience can be extraordinary, and respect is earned, not demanded. The street is calm, the night deepens, and the memory of what happened continues to resonate. Even without a word, a single act has changed perspectives, inspired reflection, and reminded everyone that real strength often moves silently. When faced with pressure or fear, would you act with quiet strength, or wait for someone else to intervene? The lesson stays with viewers long after the scene ends. And sometimes, that quiet reflection is the most powerful moment of all.